Hello, welcome to my YouTube live this Saturday, the 22nd of March. It's just 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the UK, and I'm going to stay maybe a couple of hours depending on how the flow goes. So at this point, there's no one yet, but hopefully people will pop up at the right time in the right way, as it always happens. And for those who don't know me, I'm a therapist and coach, and I come every Saturday on YouTube to offer some free advice to anyone who would like to discuss anything to do with mental health, therapy, mindset, mindfulness, human behavior, human psychology, relationships, any of those things. Anything that can enhance the quality of life from those places is what I'm all about. And so I'm going to get started like I always do by reading and commenting on some posts that I put out on TikTok today. I use both TikTok and YouTube. I put 3 shorts every day and I go live. And so the first post that I put out today on TikTok goes like this. Uncertainty is more stressful than a guaranteed bad outcome. And this is why it is so hard for you to let go of a toxic relationship or a job that you hate. So this is basically based on studies that have been observing how people react, how their brain react when they're facing either a guaranteed bad outcome or uncertainty. And when we are facing uncertainty, the level of stress is heightened. That is why we keep doing the same thing, and we, even if we suffer from those things, because as the saying goes, it's better the devil you know. And so we are, if we know that something bad is going to happen, at least we have some readiness for it. But uncertainty could bring anything at all. And that's why we don't take a chance. We don't try to change our habits, come out of our comfort zone. The second post that I put out is this one. Human eyes can only see 0.0035% of all known visible light and color. What this means is that reality is created in your brain, by your brain, based on fragments of information captured from the outside world. So basically, this is another scientific study that shows how, based on all the types of lights and color that we know exist, so it's not even the whole of it, but what we know exists, that some animals and insects and some machines can capture, the human eyes can only capture 0.0035%. So it's a fragment of information. And yet, based on that little limited amount of information, you are able to create a reality, an experience, a human experience. And this is to really reinforce the idea that reality is an illusion. Reality is something that we manufacture in our own mind. And this is absolutely a conversation that is starting to really blow on the social media. People are starting to understand how there's no such thing as one universal reality. Only our interpretation of it, only our experience of it. And the more we can understand this, the more we can realize that this is the reason why people are fighting and suffering. Because we've been taught to believe that there's only one universal, fixed, and absolute reality. But that also implies that my reality, my truth, is better than yours. My truth is truer than other people's truth. Because of that, people are clashing. People are trying to get people to agree with them, to convince them to follow the same sort of belief. Because there's a part of them that thinks, if everyone has got a different truth, then I'm not in control of reality. If my system is the right one, then by me forcing people to follow my system kind of reassure me and tells me that indeed we're living in the same world. And finally, the last post that I will put out later on today on TikTok goes like this. People who are belittling you for being emotional do so because they're unable to face their own emotions and work on themselves. So it's a typical case of projection. We all have some emotions to learn how to decipher and heal from. Emotions are very important energies that we have in our body, but are telling us a lot of things, a lot of feedbacks about ourselves. And we must process them, we must feel them, we must let them go, and we must understand them. But when people are unable to do that because they've been emotionally repressed, because of whatever they've been through in childhood, because of the culture, the way they've been educated, then now they can't do that on themselves. And so when they're going to see some people who are emotionally mature or intelligent, now we're going to dislike them because we dislike in others whatever they remind us about ourselves that we're ashamed of. This is the basics of projections. So there you go. Some bits and bobs about the things that I do. Now I'm going to read the comments. Hopefully there will be some questions from you guys. And if not, I will continue commenting on some of my own posts until hopefully some people ask me something they would like me to discuss. Okay, so we have head-butting bullets. What's some of the most powerful advice you have been given in your life, Didi? So, I don't know. There's plenty of them. I read, I meditate, I talk to people, I think about things all the time. And so I believe that what you want is to find out what sort of advice would be good for you, right? There's no such thing as a universal, I don't know, maybe there is. Okay, I'm going to tell you one. The most powerful advice that I've ever been given, I was very young and I was reading a magazine called Rock and Folk. So it's a rock and folk, like a music magazine back in the 80s in France. And there was an interview with Stevie Wonder. And someone asked him, the journalist asked him, what is the most important piece of advice that you have ever been given? And he replied, don't do to others what you wouldn't want others to do to you. So a very universal wisdom quote that is shared in many, many different places. But I get it through him. And I will always remember this, and I thought, oh, this is brilliant. It's so simple, but it's very powerful. And so very simple, very universal. You can find it in Eastern philosophies. You can find it in Stoics philosophies. You can find it in the Bible, in a lot of different places. But it's a very universal idea. Don't do unto others what you wouldn't want others to do to you. So basically, it's teaching empathy. It's teaching putting ourselves into other people's shoes. And just that seems so simple, and yet I believe that is the one thing that if we all learned how to practice this, the world would be in a very different place. And so there you go. Nothing spectacular, just Stevie Wonder sharing a quote, but to me it was something that stuck with me all my life, learning the power of empathy. And if you extend this to the way that I think now and the way that I help people, everything about healing and growth, personal growth, is to do with expanding our perspectives, expanding our paradigm, expanding our picture of the world. And so what it means is that precisely that principle, if we can learn how to be empathetic, whenever we're empathetic, we're putting ourselves into other people's shoes. And so we're expanding our reality. We can see things from different perspectives, and we can expand our mind, we can expand our intelligence, we can expand our compassion, and everything gets better. So there you go. What do you think of this? Does it help you at all? Headbutting bullets. Salma, hello, Salma. Rafael Quayum, hello. How can we get rid of stress? Okay, it's a very good question. How do we get rid of stress? By not letting stress in the first place. So if you are stressed out already, you can breathe. There's a lot of systems that you can do to regulate your body, your nervous system mechanically. And the one most useful, most commonly taught, and more easy to use would be breathing mindfully. So there's a lot of different techniques. There's one very famous that we use a lot called the box breathing or square breathing. You can Google it. There's another one called the 4-7-8 plus. You breathe in for the count of 4, you hold it for the count of 7, you breathe out for the count of 8. But whatever that you do, there's a lot of different variations. But the main principle of breathing mindfully is that in our body, we have some nerves, we have some intelligence that understand what sort of state we want to be in by doing certain things. And so what it means is that if you breathe out for longer than you breathe in, you repeat it long enough, eventually your nervous system will get the information that you are safe. You're tricking your nervous system into believing that you are safe, and it will slow down all the physical the physical reactions that are happening when you are stressed out. Right? So basically, we can either be on a state of fight, flight, freeze, or chilled, relax, growth. And when you're stressed out, in that moment you are overwhelmed and your body is going to that state. And so you might have some shallow breath, your heart might beat faster, you might have some cold sweat, you might start to overthink, your pupils are starting to dilate, you're trembling, and all of those things. And this is basically your body going into a state of survival. It's overwhelmed. And the stress can be external or internal. External, too much people, too much noise, too much chaos and confusion. Internal, too much thoughts. I must do this, I must do that, deadline, time is running, oh, juggling with 10,000 things at the same time. And so we want to realize that all of those things are getting our body to be into that state. So if we are already stressed out, learn how to breathe. So again, something called cycle sighing as well. There's a lot of different types, it doesn't matter. Just choose one that works for you. The main thing is that you want to breathe in through your belly, not through your chest, otherwise you will hyperventilate and you will go into fight flight even faster and more fiercely. And you want to breathe out through your mouth with pursed lips so you can hold the breath a bit longer. And you want to do it for as long as needed until you feel better. That will address anxiety, panic attacks, stress, anything, any type of overwhelm. You can absolutely come back to space, to a state of mental clarity by breathing mindfully. So it's just one of the many systems, but it's one that we teach a lot, and it's very, very powerful. Now, once you are no longer stressed out, you want to prevent more stress to get in. And so you want to realize that you don't have to be stressed out. We get stressed out when we are in the wrong place or when we are holding the wrong thought, right? So again, I was talking about external stress versus internal stress. They both work in cahoot together, and they're just habits. We have habits of belief, habits of thoughts, habits of doing certain things, of expectations of ourselves. We may be a perfectionist, we may be trying to please people, trying to impress them at work or at home. We're trying to do all of those things, and we want to do those things because they are what define us. I believe that my productivity is my worth. And now we're working so hard, we're burning out, we're stressed out. And we don't have to do this. Stress is optional. It's just a habit that we have allowed in because when we look around us, everyone is stressed out. We've been taught, we read books, we watch televisions, movies, we observe people, family, friends, society, people in the streets, everywhere is stressed out. And so if we look at people being stressed out, we're going to believe that it's normal. And whatever we believe is normal, we're going to accept it. We're not going to question it even because it's normal. And so you don't have to be stressed out. You can create a lifestyle that doesn't involve stress. You can choose a job, you can choose an environment, you can choose a bunch of people, companies that are not going to stress you out because there's such thing as toxic environment. Some environments are toxic because the way they're designed must stress people. So you don't want to be in those places. You don't have to. There's a lot of different places nowadays. Choose the right people. But also you want to change your habit of thoughts. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to do more to try to impress because it's burning you out, right? And also, even if you, let's say, if you are a student and you want to expand your mind, you want to learn more, you want to be more optimizing your brain capacities, stress is going to limit it. It's going to create an overwhelm. And now you won't be able to process whatever you have studied. It's too much. So less is more. Give some space to your brain to process this information. Give your body some time to also process whatever you're going through physically if you're training a lot. Whatever that you do, we need to allow for the stimulus to be absorbed in our body, in our mind. And so too much, we prevent this, we do the opposite. And so ironically, a lot of time people who want to do more, to have more, they're creating exactly precisely the opposite. Less is more. Yin and yang principle. And so what do you think about this, Raphael? Does it help you with the idea of stress? You don't have to stress out. Now you can learn how to create a space between you and the external stress. And you can also upgrade the belief that you have, the thoughts that you have in your head in regards to productivity, in regards to perfectionism, in regards to trying to accomplish all of those things within a limited amount, within a deadline. There's no deadline. I mean, there's some at work, but this is why we want to choose the right companies, not those who are going to constantly ask you to do more. I hope it makes sense. Does it? Let me know, please. Raphael. Nick Girls, hi. Nick Girls, hey, what's my name? Your name is Nick. capital letters. Niggers, can you say my name? Okay, I just did. Rafe, hey, please don't take his name. Okay, I don't know what to say about this. Luisa, Regina, hi Didi, very glad to be, watching you in this live. How to navigate the pressure of a world in turmoil. You meant turmoil, right? Yes, okay, turmoil, sorry. How, okay, it's a very good question. How to navigate the pressure of the world in turmoil. So if you look at the world, it's true that it's in a state of disarray. I totally agree with that. It's getting worse and worse, and wherever you look at, it's bad. However, what we want to realize is that it's only bad because we are looking at the news that are showing us the bad stuff. So how do you deal with the world? You can't deal with the world. You're not in charge with the world. It's not your responsibility to fix the world or to do anything about it. We all want to do our best to spread some positive vibes so that we can impact the world positively. And that's a good thing. But we don't want to believe that we are in charge or responsible for the state of the world. And so the best advice that I can give you at this point in time is to avoid watching the news. Limit them. No, you will know some things. Every now and then you'll be knowing what is important to know. You can spend a bit of time on social media every day, but limit the amount of it. If you watch the news, number one, news are designed to only show you bad stuff because bad stuff grabs your attention. And also it affects your nervous system. And this is what people who are at the top want everyone else to feel like, so that we can control them and manipulate them. But this is a whole different conversation, right? But you want to keep in touch with the news without being fixated on them. I know that it's difficult because even myself, when the event from October the 7th started, I was overwhelmed for a long, long time. It was driving me mad. And then I realized, it's happening to me. I need to take a break. I need to keep updated every now and then, but I need to change the system. And I was reading how neuroscientists have all one thing in common. They don't watch the news. This is from a podcast from a neuroscientist, and she was saying how all the neuroscientists that she knows don't watch the news. And the reason behind this is because they know how the plasticity of the brain absorb what we observe in good and bad. And so if you watch the news constantly, we're going to observe negative, fear, anger, injustice, and we're going to create this every day, and that will reinforce the way we think, the way we feel, the way we experience our reality. And that will influence also how we perceive the world. Because in reality, although it's true that there are a lot of bad things happening, there are also a lot of great things happening that no one is talking about. I'm sure that there are a lot of nice people out there doing a lot of nice things, and people don't show this. And even when you look at the bad news, there are always some reactions born from this bad news. And so that's a different way to look at the same information. I look at some situations in the world, terrible, but I see the mass of people fighting against it. I see the resistance, and to me, this is beautiful. This is really, really special. I can see the best of humanity emerging from the worst of it. And so, with a different mindset, also you can experience the news in a different way. Now, of course, there will always be some casualties, and so people suffering, and this is very unjust and painful. But this is the way the world is. And so what we want to do is to accept that the world is evolving, things will always happen, but we can choose to either focus on the positive, the progress, the evolution, or on the hurt that some people are going through. Right? If you can do about something, do it. But if you have no power to change anything at all in this moment about those things that are getting you upset, there's no need for you to spend more time absorbing this information and changing the state of your body and your brain as a result of it. So my advice to you is, if you want to navigate the pressure of the world in turmoil, you want to change the way you look at it, and you want to limit your access to some information. If you use the social media a lot, for instance, there are people that you can follow that are sharing good news, right? I think there are some few ones that I follow, the Happy News broadcast, whatever, and it's always videos of people with animals, and it's very, very nice. Gosh, there's a big sound. It's either the thunder or a plane. Anyway, so yes, does it make sense? Can you see yourself doing this, Louisa? Rafe, I actually breathe deeply when I'm in stress, but still thanks for you for breaking it down for me. So if you breathe deeply and you're stressed out, it's because you're breathing through your chest, not through your belly. It's physical, it's mechanical. Everyone, we're all designed the same, except if maybe there are always some exceptions. So maybe your body is different. But if you breathe deeply in through your nostril and through your belly, and then you hold it for a bit, and then you allow for the air to come out from your mouth, and you don't want to push the air through. You don't want to force it through. You allow it out as you will allow a balloon to deflate naturally. So I can show you here. So first your belly and then your chest. And if you can do this for 10 count, 20 count, 50 count, whatever it's needed, eventually you will start to distress. Now, if you're still stressing out, okay, I forgot to say something. You get stressed out because of the thought that is getting you stressed out. And so if you breathe, but you're still thinking the same thought, it's not going to change, right? Because the thought is still there. Thought trigger how you feel in your body. And so what you want to do is to breathe and no longer think the thought. I was talking about changing your internal stress by changing the way you think, and changing your outer stress by changing your environment. So also, if you are stressing out, you are still having the same thought, and you're still in the same spot, you won't be able to change your state, right? You can change how you respond to your outer environment over time when you have worked on changing your thoughts, on changing how you interpret your environment. But if it's happening right around now, the best thing to do is to disconnect from the outer environment for one moment. Go for a walk. Go in a room that is closed, so it gives your senses a break, and then do your breathing technique. Right now, there's also another aspect maybe that I didn't mention that could be relevant to you. Maybe you're neurodivergent. Some of us, we are hypersensitive to noise, to light, to movement, to people, and so that could be the reason of the stress. So if that's the case, then it's a whole different conversation. You want to make sure that you are in an environment that supports your condition. Right? Do you believe that you may be neurodivergent? Have you ever thought about this? Are you diagnosed? Rafe, we just need to think that everything is okay. It's not to think that everything is okay. We need to think that we don't need to do all those things or think all those thoughts that cause us stress. We want to change how we think. We want to change our mental focus. Yeah. Yeah. I hope it makes sense. I mean, let's see how it goes. We can talk about this more. Thank you so much for the tips. You are so humble. Thank you, Rafe. Stress is really normalized nowadays. Yes, it is. Because we live in a capitalist society, so we need people to function, and so we need to tell them, you're stressed out, it's okay, it's good, you thrive on stress, don't be lazy, you need some motivation. And we don't realize that for a lot of us, we don't need motivation, we need to do something that we enjoy instead of that. But the capitalist system don't like it. Doesn't like it. It wants us to fill up all the gaps and do the things that they don't want to do. So they make us feel bad. You're so lazy. Stop procrastinating. Anyway, Louisa, the advice you mentioned is the base of humanity. Talking about empathy, I guess. Really, I would choose it over any other. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much, Louisa. I'm glad that you appreciate it. Yes, indeed. Empathy is connection. Empathy is sharing. Empathy is reminding ourselves that we're all part of one whole humanity and whole mass of energy as well. And the illusion of division, let me pronounce it properly, is because it's something that we are being taught, and we can evolve away from it, hopefully at some point in the future, through the evolution of our species. Rain Cook, thanks for taking the time out of your day to enlighten me. Thank you, Rain. I'm glad you appreciate. Do ask me anything you'd like to ask me, please. Rafe, thank you so much for the tips. Great, thank you. Rafe, I really wanted to thank you. Thank you. Rain, do you think that psychedelics or things of that nature are a good way to help navigate suppressed emotions or memories from the past? So I don't know much about this. I know that a lot of people do this, and I know that even some people who are eminent in their field do suggest that there is some goodness about it. So I don't want to diss those things. However, I have a terrible relationship with drugs. Because I used to be a drug addict myself. I used to be an alcoholic. I used to be addicted to so many things for 38 years. And so I don't like anything that is going to impact the way I think anymore. I, I value and I cherish my mental clarity over everything. And so I wouldn't do that personally because I have a lot of different tools that I can teach people, get them to use, so they don't need to use those things. They can find everything they need within them. However, it's true that there are some traditions of different culture and civilizations that used this for a long time, and they had some great results. So maybe if you did it with the right people who really understand and know what they're doing, that could be interesting. But I believe that there's a lot of people who are jumping on the bandwagon and trying to do something out of this, and they are not the people you want to work with because all of those drugs can be dangerous. And so, yes. So at this point in time, I will not say anything about it because I haven't tried those things specifically myself. And I may not try, again, because of my own history with drugs. I believe that everything that we need, we are born with. It's already inbuilt inside of us. So we don't need anything external to change how we are. And there's a mentality of us trying to find solutions from the outside. This is what the Western world has conditioned us to believe. You have a migraine, you have an illness, take a pill, take a medication, take a drug, take an injection. And we forget that there are many ways that we can heal from any ailment from the inside out. First, we want to not trigger those situations by having a lifestyle and a hygiene of life that will prevent us from being ill in the first place. And also we want to address our mental and emotional health that is directly connected to our physical health. Right? No one talks about this, and it's so important. I mean, some people are starting to talk about it. Gabor Mate starts to talk about it. There's another one, I forgot the name, Dr. Raj something, a British doctor who's been talking about this for quite a while. And now we're really realizing that how you feel about yourself, how you deal with your thoughts, with your emotions, with your trauma, with your past, have a direct influence on how your body is going to develop in regards to health and illnesses and immune system, and how your organs are going to either trigger some genes that you may have or not. Some genes of illnesses, I mean. So, yep. Rafe Quayum. By taking normal or longer breath, we're basically telling our brain that everything is all right. Yes. When you are going into fight-flight mode, you're having very shallow breath, and because you're subconsciously getting your body ready to fight, flight, or freeze. So you're doing it to yourself when we hyperventilate. And so the opposite is true. Luisa, thank you, Didi. And I do watch too much bad news, too much, less news for me. Yes, thank you, Luisa. Yes. Sometimes a very simple shift of perspective can make a big difference. But we don't need to know everything. But also we do get addicted to bad news. Whenever we are watching some bad stuff, we're feeling something. And if we are living in a state of stress, if you have some anxiety, if you have some depression, it's very easy to get addicted to those chemical reactions in our body. This is something that not many people talk about. We literally do get addicted to our internal biochemistry. How we feel is something that we're used to, and our brain wants us to keep feeling and experiencing the same thing. The brain has only one priority, and it's to keep us doing the same thing, because whatever that we've been doing, if we've been doing it for a long time, it's safe. And so it's going to keep us feel the same emotions and feelings and have the same thoughts and do the same things, even if it's bad. The brain doesn't understand happy or healthy. And so if I've been anxious for a long time, every time that I have this little burst of anxiety, it's like a shot. I'm getting high as far as the brain is concerned. So it's going to keep on seeking this information to keep those reactions happening in the body and the brain. Yeah, with depression is the same, with anything is the same. We cannot get addicted to any of the state that we're in. It is our first addiction. The addiction to familiarity. We are designed to seek the familiar, and so we have systems into place inside of us that is always getting us to stay in our comfort zone, even if it's uncomfortable. The example that I often give, I think I borrowed it from Marza Peer, one of my mentor, and basically I think she was saying that, and it's a great example that I love. But if, let's say, I've been injecting some toxic stuff in my eyeballs uh, to get high for a long time, even though it's painful and it's horrible and it's absolutely not good for my health. If I've been doing it for a long time and I'm still alive, my mind is going to tell me, keep up the good work. This is so you. Never give up. You know, this is your familiar. Stick to it. And that's why it's so hard for people who are addicted to break free from the addiction. It's one of the many reasons. Reborn. Hello, Reborn. Can coffee or tea influence emotion in a certain way? Yes, probably in some ways, because it's got caffeine, and so caffeine is going to create some level of alertness that will impact your how you're going to process and experience emotions. Indeed. Now it depends on the individuals. It depends how much you drink. And it depends also on everything else, because nothing ever happens because of one reason. Everything always happens because of everything that is happening in this moment, and this created that situation for that short amount of time. Reborn. Can certain ADHD genes be inherited? Yes, yes, they are. So basically, there's a lot of conversation. Some people say there's not yet a scientifically agreed ADHD gene. But at the same time, we know through observation, having looked after people for a long time, that when someone has ADHD, is very, very often connected with a parent who also has ADHD. And so the way that I see it is not this or that. I believe that everything about us is down to two elements. First, our propensity to something, and the environment that is going to trigger that propensity. And so there's an element of genetics and an element of environment. Nature versus nurture, or the other way around. You know, yeah, nature versus nurture. And so basically, we are all born with some genes that have a different code, we have a different level of sensitivity. However, this in itself is nothing until we are in an environment that will trigger those genes. And so you may have some genes of ADHD, but if you're not in an environment that is pressing, the traits of it will be very little. You will not have much of the things that come along with it, because you won't be subjected to a lot of stress that will inflame your condition and exacerbate all the symptoms of ADHD, for instance. Alternatively, when you are traumatized in childhood, the way the brain develops is similar to ADHD, and we can become then hypersensitive to a lot of things. We can hyperfocus, we can disconnect, and so there's a lot of overlapses, and there are a lot of people who are disagreeing, as in whether it's genetics or it's environmental. I believe that it's both. And I believe that as we go along and there will be more studies, we find out that indeed, just like with everything else, everything is always a combination of many things together. And the reason why people are confused is because they forgot that. They believe that it's either this or that. And this is where we all suffer from limitations. Right? And so, yes. But I believe that ADHD is basically hypersensitivity. And there are some studies, so again, it's not a specific ADHD gene. But I know that some studies have demonstrated that when we go through a lot of trauma and stress that affects the way our cells behave, and that will be passed on to the next generation. And so for men, it's passed into the sperm. And for women, it's passed in the egg. But for women, it's actually one generation higher. And so we already exist in some capacity in an egg that lives in the belly of grandmother. So there is indeed something that is passed on, but whether it's precisely ADHD or not is not yet to be shown by the scientific community. But we change based on what happens to us. So this is what we call generational trauma or epigenetics. whatever that we experience is going to affect our very cells that will be transmitted to the next generation. Now, whether it's ADHD or not, ADHD, it's just like every mental conditions, all those terms, all those concepts are still evolving and changing all the time, because what we know about the mind is very, very new, and we are still learning, we are still at the infancy of understanding how it works. And so all this information will keep on changing as it has been ever since we've been studying the mind. Yeah, there you go. Rain, you are very mature and wise, and your insight on this has helped. Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you so much for the kind words, Rain. Rafe, I'm glad I found your channel. Fantastic. Thank you. So if you enjoy this, keep coming back. Every Saturday afternoon, I come here for sure. I do some lives on TikTok as well in the evening, but the lives that I do there depend on my schedule, my level of energy and my mood as well. So I may do some or not, and I never know exactly when until I do them. And also the ones that I do on TikTok, they are only they're live and then they disappear. I don't keep them. Right? Whereas on YouTube, you can check out all my lives that I've been doing at this point. You go on my profile, click live, and there's a whole collection of them. And basically, every single live that I do, I keep them so that people can go back to them when they ask me questions, if they want to remember the answer that I've given them. So that's the difference. So keep coming back if you enjoy this. Get your friends involved if they need some help from me. I will make sure that I always come here every Saturday afternoon on YouTube. And thank you for the feedback. Reborn. Is there a connection between consuming sugar and mood, focus, or alertness? Yes, indeed. So again, just like with coffee, sugar is going to affect some parts of your body. And because you are a body and a mind and a lot of different things, whatever that you do within any aspect of yourself will affect the other aspects as well. I was talking about how mental and emotional health affects physical health and the other way around. It's a network. The information that goes from different part of the body to other parts all the time, constantly. And so whatever that you do to your body, whatever you go through physically will affect your mental and emotional state as well, because your body reacts with chemicals that are hormones. And those hormones, they are what we call emotions and feelings. And they affect directly not only our organs, the way we function. Thank you for the little, I think, whatever it is, but also it's going to affect how we feel, our very experience here and there. And so it's all intertwined and connected. So that's why when I talk about addressing any situations at all or enhancing our quality of life, we want to look at three aspects. Number one, we want to address our baggage or blocks, our emotional triggers, or unhealed wounds. So this is what self-help and healing and therapy does. Number two, we want to address our lifestyle. Do you eat well? Do you sleep well? Do you move around? Do you socialize? Do you spend time in nature? Do you do things that you enjoy? And do you have some me time or meditate, sort of things? And number three, address your environment. Choose people at work and at home that supports you positively, that loves you, that protects you, that understands you, as opposed to being in a toxic environment of people who are going to put you down, put you under more stress, criticize you, tell you bad things about yourself. Three things. Because whichever that you do focus on at this point in time will affect all the aspects of yourself. Again, mental, emotional, physical, and even spiritual at some point. Thank you for the heart. Reads Veer Jane. Hello, Veer. Sir, will cold bath will be helpful in dealing with social anxiety? Hope you remember me. Yes, I do remember your name, Veer. It's a very unusual name for me, and I like the way it's written and sounds. Cold bath are great. They reset a lot of your original system, and so it helps with social anxiety. Wim Hof, the person who has popularized ice bath therapy, has many cases of people who used to suffer from anxiety and depression and who healed just by doing ice cold bath. But it's not guaranteed for everyone, and so try, see if it helps, and if it helps, keep doing it, and if not, then try something else. We are all vastly different and intricate, and so there's a solution for everyone. but nothing works for everyone in the very same way. Yeah. But yes, if you can have them, it's great for a lot of things anyway. So if you don't mind the cold and you're happy to bring this into your daily routine, it's a fantastic thing to do. But with social anxiety, you want to really address the the mental and emotional reasons as to why you feel anxious. I would suggest that really. I would suggest for us to understand how our mind works and understand our relationship with our past to deal with anything that we are suffering from. But again, I'm biased because this is what I do as a therapist and coach. So there you go. Rain, what is it about people that make us so prone to abuse of different substances? People we use substances because we need to solve a problem. And so people who are addicted, they have a propensity for addiction. And so if you have some conditions, if you have some trauma, if you have ADHD, bipolar, borderline, any of those things, you have a heightened chance to be addicted to anything at all. And the reason behind this is because when we have those situations, those conditions, we are constantly in a state of discomfort and we need something to bring us solace from it. And so it's not like people are not addicted because they are bad, because they are weak or any of those things. They get addicted because they suffer. And the addiction to them, to us, I used to be addicted myself for many, many years, was the solution. It's the only thing that we know, and it's actually there to protect us, because otherwise we may get overwhelmed. We may no longer want to be in that reality that is too much for us, and we may not even make it. We may put an end to our lives. And so I'm not promoting addictions, but I'm just explaining how it works and how we must stop stigmatizing it. And there are more and more awareness of this now. People understand that people are not addicted because they are weak, but they're dealing with something else. The addiction is a symptom of a deeper root problem. Right? So yes, if we are more prone to substances or any type of addiction, is because we need it. Some people don't need it. Some people, they try those things one time and they're like, oh, that was an interesting experience, but I'm not going to be addicted to that. And the truth of the matter is that, but some people, they take it one time and then that's it, they're hooked forever. But what I wanted to say is that we can be addicted to anything at all. And so it's not about the substances, right? We can be addicted to shopping. We can be addicted to working. We can be addicted to going to the gym, right? We can be addicted to food. We can be addicted to overthinking. And so if I take the example of shopping, for instance, we all buy some stuff every now and then, but not everyone is addicted. What is the difference? Is that need to create some chemicals in your brain, in your body, that will make you feel better about yourself because of an original problem that we have been living with all of our life. Rancook, why can't I donate? Why can I not donate to your stream? I don't know. I don't know how to do these things. Maybe I haven't set it up. So it's a very kind of thought of you, and maybe I should start to look at it because I'm always open to expand my options, my opportunities, and so I will have a look at it. Thank you for mentioning it. I don't know how it works. I'm not very good with social media, generally speaking. I just go through the motion and learn little things as they pop in on my path. But I didn't even know that people could donate to the live stream. But thank you for mentioning it. I will check this out and maybe something will come out of it. Thank you. Reborn. How would you judge the situation about scientific research on how a mind works? How would you judge the I don't judge. It's not for me, it's not my job. I don't think it's anyone's job to judge. But I think what you're trying to say, let me read again. How would you judge the situation about scientific research of how a mind works? Did science answer all clues about mental conditions, or is there still a lot of aspects to uncover? Oh, yes, of course. So I understand the question. Basically, this is science. What is science? Science is having an open mind and finding out more information as we are observing something. And so this is to do with any science. the science of the mind, but any other type of science. If you study any types of physics, is the same. The whole premise of it is that it's open and it's constantly bringing some new information, and it's humble in nature. And so, what I would say is that when it comes to mental health, what we know about mental health and the mind is very, very new. Pretty much everything that happened, I don't know, 25 years ago was not very good. And now we're starting to have a huge shift for the last 25 years, because we have some machines that can show us what is happening in the brain when we are thinking, feeling, doing things. And so that is a game changer, because we can see what is precisely happening instead of guessing. And so we have been able to debunk so many things that we used to believe. I was reading a book yesterday saying how in the 1980s, the textbook of psychology, foundational information used to say that incest, for instance, was very rare. There was only 1 out of 1 million American who had incest, which is not true. Now we know that for situations there's like 1 in 4. So it's not 1 in 1 million. But also that book goes further and explains how when it comes to women being abused by their father, it's actually not a bad thing. According to the book, incest is actually helping with psychosis and preparing women for life, which is terribly sexist and horrible. Uh, but that was in the textbook that people were studying, and that was only studying incest in regards to women, not even men. And so we've gone a long way, and that was in the 1980s. Now we know, it said that the impact of incest doesn't create any problems in the mind of the woman, and also it was even positive somehow to them, which is ridiculous. And so I don't know who wrote that book, but who are the guys, the men who agreed on that? It's terrible. But this is precisely the state of mental health back then. 1980s, it's not long ago. And in the 1980s, from that same book, they're talking about how it was very normal to treat depression with electroshock therapy, which is absolutely stupid. Now we can really see how stupid it is, but it was normal. It was what you got when you go into to see the best specialist, the hospital with all the equipment and the knowledge. And so now we know that a lot of things that are still believed nowadays are wrong. They're dangerous, they're barbaric, and we must really, really be aware that the understanding of the mind is not only very new, but it's at the infancy of it. And so we are still discovering more and more every day. And it's very fascinating, and we must keep in touch with what is going on so that we can use this information on ourselves and with the people in our lives. As in healing our mental health, right? Not controlling people. Via Jane, should I take cold bath 5 to 6 times a day for better results? It depends. What I would suggest to you is to get the book. Let me show you. I've got it at hand. This is Wim Hof. I haven't opened it. It's because I've got loads of books, and I listen to audiobook more than anything. But this was a gift from one of my clients, like, I don't know, 3 years ago. So that goes to show how many books I'm behind. But I have spent a lot of time listening to his work. And so find some information from Wim Hof. The guy has got a lot of content on YouTube, on all sort of different platforms, and I'm sure that you can learn. He talks about a lot of breathing. He does a lot of breathing with his breath work, and it can give you maybe different set of numbers that could work for you. Reborn. But just one thing about the cold bath, you need to do it gradually, and your body will tell you what is adequate or not. We're all different. You don't want to choose numbers and go for the sake of it, because your body may not react in the way that you expect it to react like. Right? So test and trial and see what happens. Reborn. My sister runs to hospital over every issue, even when she has a numbness in her arm. I suspect that she has some sort of phobia, that everything can be so serious. How to remove such a phobia? She needs to work on her health anxiety. So basically, she's obsessed with illness, with being unwell. And if she has this, not only she has something to do with health, but also she's generally going through a lot of anxiety. So when we go through a lot of stress and anxiety and overwhelm and pressure in our life, when we are, yes, overwhelmed, then little things that we have inside of us can blow out and get out of control. And so maybe that was something innocuous at first, but now maybe because she's been under a lot of stress, it has taken a life of its own, and now it's taking over. Or maybe it was always there. But yes, health anxiety is the anxiety that we have about our health. As soon as we have a little symptoms, we're going to overthink about it. We're going to do some Google research and try to understand, and we're going to imagine the worst case scenarios happening to us. We think, this is happening to me, I'm sure. Oh, I can't believe it. And you get angry. And this is what we used to call being hypochondriac. So yes, your sister should work on herself, right? She should do some work. She should find out why she's got those thoughts, why she has those reactions whenever she thinks about anything to do with health. Maybe it's something to do with, because you told me that you lost your mum recently, so maybe there's something to do with that. Was she like that before already, or has it only happened after your mum left you? Because that could be also a thing. Gatak. Bro, how can I get addicted to studying? Some people do, but you don't choose your addictions. Your addictions are happening because you have already an emotional association with that thing. If you have some subconscious positive emotional association with a thing, you will be naturally attracted to that thing. Right? And so some people maybe are addicted to sugar food because when they're small, when they're younger, maybe they've been through a lot of problems, bullying at school, and when they come back home, mum would tell them, "Oh, have a piece of cake with me," and they would give them a hug. And so now they would connect sugar, cake with hug, with comfort, with feeling better about themselves. And now, back in adulthood, that program is in the subconscious mind, and whenever they are facing stress, the subconscious mind is going to remember, what does make me feel better? I know, sugar, cakes. And now they are being addicted to those things. So for you to be addicted to something, there needs to be a history with those things. You need to have a relationship with that thing already that is positive, that is bringing you back into a place of feeling good. Yeah. And that applies for a lot of things, except for substances. Substances, it's just disconnecting with reality itself because we're suffering too much. So how do you get addicted to studying? You don't get addicted to studying out of choice. But what you can do is to change the way you approach it. First, it's very important to remind yourself that you should study things that you enjoy. So I know that it's something that most people struggle with because most of us, we don't choose really what we study. We follow the flow. We listen to some people who are telling us that this is a better idea than something else. But really, if you don't love what you do, it's going to be very, very hard for you to find always the motivation to do those things. So that's something that you want to consider. But other than that, you can also change your mindset. There are some mindset hacks that you can use. They're limited, they don't work forever, but they can help out. So it's for you to find a way to make your studies fun. If you can turn it into a game, then it will be easier for you to do those things. And also, basic stuff, break it down in small chunks. Take a break between each chunks and focus on the doing, not the outcome. So when you're studying, don't think, I've got so much to finish. Just focus on that chunk and go as far as you can and then stop and have a break. Process, chill, rest, meditate. Instead of trying to cram more in because your brain needs some space to process those informations. If you do more, you're going to end up with less. Right? Your brain is going to be overwhelmed, it's going to shut down, it's going to forget half of the things that you studied yesterday. Instead of sleeping and processing this information and retaining the important key information and getting rid of the rest. So yeah, I hope it helps. Process. Hello. What are we talking about? We're talking about mental health, about therapy, about human psychology, about how we can enhance any aspect of our lives from thinking and feeling differently about those things. Ronan, hey brother Ken, good seeing you. Thank you. Please don't call me brother Ken. Call me Didi. Process. Bro, wrote the Oedipus complex like we wouldn't notice. Based off one study with a kid and white horses. I'm not sure what you're talking about here, process. I understand. Maybe you're talking about how I understand what you mean. I was talking about how some books still in the 1980s were promoting some kind of incest and thinking somehow that it was good. Maybe I was just saying, okay, I get it, I get it, I get it. Yes, I agree with your process. Yes, people come up with all sort of nonsense, and they all have a bias. And we also live in a society that is patriarchal, and so people who are writing the books will be biased into what they want to for people to believe. Yeah, precisely. The people who wrote those books, they were probably committing some abuse to their own kids, and trying to normalize it. You're cozy. Hi there. Are you like a doctor? I'm not a doctor. No, I am not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I am not a psychiatrist. I am a therapist. I am a hypnotherapist. My title is clinical hypnotherapist and RTT therapist. So I utilize some precise tools of hypnosis, regression, and also psychology to change how someone feels, how someone process thoughts and emotions, how they can deal with any problems such as anxiety, depression, addiction, anger issues, or self-sabotage. This is what I do. Right? But I'm not a doctor, not at all. However, I'm obsessed with the mind. I've been obsessed for a long, long time. I've got ADHD, so I can hyper-focus over the things that I love. And I can't stop thinking about those things. And so I write books, I create content, I'm here on live, sharing information, and that's it. This is who I am. So if you have any question, I do read and learn a lot about things all the time. And so I have some insight. I don't know everything, of course, no one does, but I know some things that can be useful to some of you. So just ask if you have any problems to address in your life. See if I can bring something positive to you today. Rain, are you familiar with the work done by Sigmund Freud? I know of some, and a lot of things that he said was absolutely nonsense. So he's one of those guys, precisely. Now, he was still important because back then, that's all there was. Back then, the opinion of some grumpy old German men seemed to be very, very popular. And so he was one of them. But a lot of things that he said was actually bad, dangerous, negative, toxic to people's health. And so that's why we need to take it with a pinch of salt now. However, there are some basics, some stuff that he came up with, and all right, but we still use to the day of today. And so it depends which work we are looking at. Gatak, help me build such emotions, sir. You're talking about being addicted to studying, so I hope that I clarified it. I know that I'm a little bit behind when it comes to reading the comments, but tell me what you think about what I said already, please. Process. You just gotta Pavlov yourself into associating studying with a good time. So this is not a bad thing actually. Yeah. So when Process mentioned Pavlov, it's that by process of repetition we can ignite some physical reactions, some chemical reactions in our body. So Pavlov famously had a dog, and what he did was to give the dog its dinner, and every day he will give its dinner, he will ring a bell before. So that was the association. And eventually, he rang the bell without the dinner. And yet the dog started to salivate. Physiologically, he was conditioned to get ready for the food. And this is what Pavlov is about. So now, I think what Process is saying is that to Pavlov yourself is to repeat something until you create a new association. And so with studying, it's actually possible. But it's not that simple and easy. Otherwise, the secret would be out there and it would be easy for everyone. But it's true that you can trick your mind. Some of us, depending on who we are, because we also have a different mind. We all have a different set of baggage and wounds and blocks to address specifically, personally. Right? So some people may be able to do this, and some people may not. But yes, you can trick your mind to a certain level, to a certain capacity, to change the association of what you're doing. It's possible. Instead of thinking of you're studying like, I have to do these things, I hate this, it's endless, I don't like it. Change the narrative. maybe find a way to make it exciting. Oh, I will love it because it's going to give me that. I've chosen to do this. It is my choice. It's going to bring me, open the doors that is going to allow me to have all the things that I want in life. So now you're changing the significance of the studies and you're feeling better about yourself in regards to that. So it's possible. There's another trick that is used also. I don't know if you can apply it in your studies, but you could actually use music, sing, bring some element of lightheartedness into it in whichever way. And so the reason why I'm saying this is because I always remember that thing that the American Marines do. So if you watch some war movies, in American movies, there's always a drill sergeant. They are running in the rain, in the mud, we have some bags full of stones, and you have a drill sergeant shouting at them. But they sing, they're going da 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 da, and they repeat, and it's just stupid lyrics. But the reason why they sing is because, because when you sing to yourself, you're indicating your mind that you're enjoying what you're doing, and so it's a way for them to. They don't know this, but it's a subconscious system that they're using to get their mind and their body to believe that it's fun what they're doing because they're singing. So just understanding this may maybe open some imagination for you and to see how you can maybe find some systems that you could apply to you feeling better about your studying. Thank you for the input process. Chatak. Bro, Didi means sister. In your language, it's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind. I'm modern like that. I am myself in the LGBT community. I'm married to a man, so I don't mind if you call me sister. It's not going to offend me. But the funny thing is that in Chinese, in Cantonese, Didi means little brother. And that's why I call myself Didi. I'm the little brother, and so different language, different things. But yes, fair enough. Gatak, lol. Luisa, I started therapy in 1978 in Brazil, and it was great. Transactional and gestalt therapy were the lines my therapist used. Okay. Wow, 78. At least in Brazil, the therapy was going in the right direction. Okay, good on you, good on you, good on you. Okay. So you have not been damaged. It's good on you. I'm happy for you. I'm talking about what I know about the Western ways, right? Europe, America. Ronan, hey Didi, my bad. I will call you Didi. It's okay, no worries. Thank you. Thank you. Process, solution to depression. Break the maladaptive pattern, question mark. So depression, it's actually a bigger conversation. I can nibble on that conversation. So we need to understand first what is depression. I want to understand why is depression happening to you precisely. So the way that I explain it is that depression is a disconnection from one or more of the fundamental aspects of our life, of our human experience. And so if we are disconnected from something that is very, very fundamental to our experience, the depression is going to be there to remind us to reconnect with that thing. This is what it does. It's there to tell us that some severance has happened. We must mend it. And so how do we deal with depression? It's not about breaking a maladaptive pattern, because you may break it, but if you haven't fixed what was broken in the first place, it will express itself in different ways in the future. What you want to do is to reconnect with that thing that you have reconnected from. And so we may need to reconnect from our tribe, or family, some people. We may reconnect with our purpose, things that excite us, our creativity. We may reconnect with our body, our feelings, our emotions, with our senses. Whatever that we have disconnected from, if we can locate and recognize what it is, now we have the solution to fixing the depression. It's not about taking external things to change how we feel. It's about reconnecting with that thing. Right? And so if you have had a terrible childhood because your parents were toxic, if you're in this dysfunctional family, how do you reconnect? You come to terms with the past, as in, don't look at it in the same perspective you look at it. Understand that you don't need their love, because you can now create your own family. You can find your own tribe. You can want to detach yourself from the idea that only those people can give you the love that you need. Now you can change this and realize that some other people can give you that love. And when you do this, you no longer need to attach yourself to the past and suffer from the depression, because now you're focused on building a new connection, a new love relationship with some better people for you, right? If you suffer from lack of purpose, find out what is your purpose, change your life, do what you love, what excites you, right? Instead of doing a 5 to 9 because we have been told that it was the good thing to do for you. If you're disconnected from nature, spend more time in nature. If you're disconnected from your body, if you can't feel anything, learn emotional intelligence. This is a big one. A lot of us, we suffer from depression because we're repressing how we feel. We've been taught, don't be weak, you gotta be strong. Don't be vulnerable. Don't cry. Boys don't cry. And girls don't get angry. Right? So it's one of them. Very often in a patriarchal society, men repress their sadness and women repress their anger. And all that repression creates a lot of imbalances and suffering and problems. And so depression would tell us, I'm not feeling anything. You need to find a way to reconnect with your inner being, with your body, with how you feel, with your emotional health. And so, yes, this is how I look at depression. Rain, have you ever devoted any of your time to researching occult writings? Nope. I have a strong interest in spirituality. I don't do much about occult. It's not specific. I'm open-minded, and I love to discover and learn about all sorts of different schools of thought and ideas of how to interpret reality and to see through the fabrics of it. But I don't necessarily do anything to do with occult. I appreciate quantum physics. I appreciate the multiverse. I appreciate that all realities exist at the same time, and we're only experiencing our experience of reality in this moment based on our mission in this life. I believe in reincarnation. I believe that we are here to fulfill our experience as us, as a human being. So yeah, but I don't believe in occult. I believe in ghosts and spirits, as in different dimensions. So we may have a glimpse of other realities every now and then see or experience something that was not belonging to that realm, and we call it ghosts or spirits or angels or aliens or whatever. I believe in everything, but I don't believe that there are bad things. I believe that what we believe in creates and shapes our reality. And so if you believe in bad juju, if you believe in curses, if you believe in demons, demonic forces, that will happen in your life. But if you don't believe in that, it's not gonna. So basically, I choose my belief. I choose belief that supports me, that are positive, and it works for me. And this is what I suggest to everyone, because again, people don't realize that belief are just belief. We can choose any belief that we have. And I'm talking about spiritual or religious ones. Belief is not science, right? It's precisely what science hasn't been able to elucidate. So we choose the belief that we want to believe in. So you might as well choose belief that are bringing you peace and choices, options, and empowerment, as opposed to fear or guilt, shame. Lincoln, is the pineal gland really the third eye? So a lot of people do say that, and there's a strong history of again Hinduism, old civilizations who would suggest that. I haven't got the answer for you, but I believe that. I believe in ancient cultures and civilizations. I believe that we knew more about everything a long time ago than now. I believe that what we have developed with Western philosophies and medicines has actually kind of wiped out the old wisdom from the past. But if you look at how people used to think, thank you for the little thingy, from in any places in the world, you can go in Australia, Aboriginal Australians, you can go with the Native American in Indians, you can go the old way of thinking of Chinese people, or different parts in South America. They all had a lot of things in common, right? And this is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of wisdom there. Or India, I was talking about India. There's a lot of wisdom that we are now going back to. And we're starting to science and realize that it's true after all those thousands and thousands of years. And so there's something about it I don't know yet. I've read about it. There's a book here, just there. Joe Dispenza talks about it, how you can meditate and stimulate your pineal gland so that you can manifest some things in your life. And so I think a lot of people are still trying to science it, to understand it, to decipher it, to explain it. It's all ongoing. But if you wanted to really understand what some people think about it, go to those places and learn what they say about it. Some people have come up with some systems, and to them it's very clear. But I am not one of them, I'm afraid. But I do believe that I do access it every now and then through meditation. So I've been doing it all my life for some reason. I can feel the stimulation precisely when I'm into certain mental states. So there's something to it. Reborn, do you believe that the ability of telepathy existed? I do believe in it. I do believe that some people have that ability. I believe that we all have. So I was reading that post at the beginning of the video that I'm going to put out today on TikTok. That goes like this. Human eyes can only see 0.0035% of all known visible light and color. And so what it means is that reality is created in your brain, by your brain, based on fragments of information captured from the outside world. And so what it means is that there's a lot of frequencies that we don't get. There's a lot of radiations, waves, information that we don't perceive because we're not able to. So what it means is that there's no such thing as one reality. We are guessing, creating a reality, and what I mean is that some of us have different abilities. Some of us may have an ability of telepathy because we can sense some information, some wave, again, some radiations that others cannot, right? So for instance, children are more instinctual and we can historically see things that adults cannot. So when we talk to the imaginary friends, and a lot of people say that they are actually experiencing, talking to some spirits, but we don't, because as we grow up, we tell our mind, it's not true, it doesn't work, it's ridiculous, so we shut ourselves down to it. But some people are more sensitive to certain things. I believe that neurodivergent people, for instance, have more ability to feel and to sense things that neurotypical don't. And a lot of people that I know, including my husband, who are on the autism spectrum, have those sort of abilities to, if you believe in those things, to communicate or to have a contact somehow with people from the afterlife. And so those are all the realm of belief. It all depends on what you believe in. But I believe that we all have a different type of we all have different antennas, and some of us are more sensitive to certain things and may perceive things that others don't. Right? So that's my theory about it, right? It's only a theory. And so based on that, it's not hard to imagine how some people may be able to have some level of telepathy. So it's not like Professor Xavier in the X-Men. You don't read precisely. But I think some people have an idea of what people are thinking naturally more than others. I do believe in that. I believe that there are some superpowers, and some people are able to do some things that are superhumans. And so, yes, I do believe in that. Now, I don't think that there's a manual for us to learn to do those things, or at least not just yet. But, yeah. Persis, what are your thoughts on the Bobo doll experiment and how impressionable kids are to the actions of adults? I don't know about the Bobo doll experiment, so I'm going to Google it. Bobo doll experiment. All right. Okay. The Bobo doll experiment conducted by Albert Bandura demonstrated that children learn aggression through observational learning. Okay, I get it. So I don't need to understand the whole thing. But yes, children learn through observation. Not just aggression, everything. They learn about the world, they learn about who they should be, how they should react, how they should deal with stress and adversity by observing how their parents deal with stress and adversity. So when children develop, they get information through different ways. Number one, what their parents teach them, or the teachers. Number two, what we're going through as experiences in their life. And number three, through observation of the caregivers. Whoever they look up to will become their template of how they should deal with things. And that is why we don't realize that the way we think, the way we speak to ourselves, is very often the way we've been spoken to when we were a child. The way we treat others is the way we treat ourselves, and the way we treat ourselves is the way we have been treated by others. But also, so this is one of the things, but also if our parents behave in a certain way, we will naturally pick up on those things until we address those habits. And so the way we deal with stress and overwhelm will be the way our parents used to deal with them then. And so if they're overwhelmed and they get angry, we're going to get angry because that's our default setup. If people are going to withdraw, we're going to withdraw. If people are going to use their intelligence and stay calm and feel, okay, let's deal with that, no problem, we're going to do this. We're going to learn that from them. And so, yes, I didn't know about the Bobo doll experiment, but it is a well-known fact in my field that children learn by observation and they become the parents over time. So sometimes we can react and be the opposite of that. But whatever that we are is always directly related to our caregivers. The most influential people in our lives are our parents. Angelina, are you familiar with Eckhart Tolle's teachings? Yes, I love Eckhart. Or could you recommend any other writers, spiritual teachers like him? Okay, so we're talking about mindfulness here. We're talking about being present. I think that when it comes to the sort of conversation, Eckhart Tolle is a field of its own. It's a league of its own. He's really, really special. There are always the old Buddhist and Taoist thinkers that I could recommend. Wayne Dyer, but he doesn't talk just about this. He talks about all sorts of different things. I could talk about Thich Nhat Hanh, any of those Buddhist monks. I don't know, I don't have the names here, but you have a lot of, anything to do with mindfulness would be useful, I think. Rick Hansen, he's a scientist that studies the brain and talks about mindfulness in relation to neuroscience, for instance. I don't know, I don't have all the names. A lot of the books that I listen to are audiobooks. So I know the names that I mentioned because it was when I was still reading books. But a lot of things that I follow now have little to do with reading. It's just listening, so I don't remember all of them. But being present, practice, learn about Buddhism. How about that? Because it's all born from this kind of wisdom. It's not all Hinduism, Buddhism, but the foundation of anything New Age, of anything, all of those new thoughts happened in the 60s. As far as the Western world is concerned. And it was no more or less than understanding Buddhist and Hinduist principles. Alan Watts, there you go. Alan Watts is a very important one. I'm sure that you know. If not, check out Alan Watts, W-A-T-T-S, I think it's written. And a lot of things that he writes about are also mind-blowing and out of this world, like very special. You need to have reached a different level of consciousness to know those things, especially back then, at the time when he wrote those stuff. So check out Alan Watts. But when it comes to mindfulness, it depends which aspect of mindfulness you want to explore. Do you want to explore the poetic side of it? Do you want to explore the useful part of it? What sort of action you can implement in your life to enhance your mindfulness? It depends what sort of objective you have in mind, right? But other than that, Eckhart Tolle does a lot of content, so there's always some things that you can, I'm sure, by following him, learn from him. But he's very special. He's very special. He keeps on blowing my mind, even after all those years. Ronan, excellent advice. Thank you. Persis, my EQ score is pretty low. I don't know how to improve it. You don't need to improve it. EQ is only one form of intelligence. We have 10, 12 more different types of intelligence. So let me find it. Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner was a psychologist, or is, I don't know if he's still alive. And basically he came up with some different perspective on intelligence. So when it comes to intelligence, we think about IQ because it's been promoted a long time in our culture and society. And we think, if I don't have IQ, I'm a loser. If I have a high IQ, I'm going to have everything that I want in life. And it's not like that, because IQ is based on only two types of intelligence, mathematics and literature. But we have many more. You have verbal, linguistic, so I talk about it. So verbal, linguistic, and logical, mathematical are the two types of intelligence that we talk about when we talk about IQ. But there's also spatial, visual intelligence, musical intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, naturalistic intelligence, and so forth and so on. And so his name is Howard Gardner. And if you can understand that, you realize that all of those type of intelligence have a function in the right environment. And so you may be very good at mathematics, but if you're in the jungle and you don't have the naturalistic intelligence, what are you going to do? You're not going to make it. So it's obsolete. So the whole point of it is that you don't have to have more of a type of intelligence. You need to find out what is your intelligence, what you are born with. You are born with a type of intelligence that is better, easier, more natural to you. So you want to find out, maybe it's bodily kinesthetic, moving, sport. You understand your body. You can do things better than others, naturally. So that will be something that you want to exploit and explore and develop more of, because this is where your strength lies, right? Interpersonal intelligence will be how you relate with people, how you can connect with them, how you can have empathy and feel them, and read their body language and connect at an emotional level. It's an intelligence that a lot of people don't have. And again, it's something that you can develop. And so if you feel that your IQ is not top-notch, it doesn't matter. You can always do some things, study some stuff to expand your understanding of those things, but you don't need to have any type of intelligence to make it into this world. Because the whole point of society is that it's varied, it's vast, it's got all sorts of different things for all sorts of different people. And if you can find out who you are, what is your strength, then you will know where you are appreciated and you will thrive in that environment. So yes, different perspective on intelligence. High IQ is highly overrated. It's an old system of thought. People from a certain generation will think, oh, IQ is everything. But essentially, in reality, if you believe that, you're going to suffer from it, because you're going to have a fixed mindset. So we can have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. So this is based on the work from Carol Dweck, fantastic. I don't know if I think she's a children's psychologist. I'm not sure, but she came up with the principles of growth mindset versus fixed mindset. What is a fixed mindset? It's the idea that things are fixed and I cannot change it. So if I'm not born lucky, if I'm not born with a high IQ, if I'm not born with some parents who can get me into the best school and have the best network, I cannot make it in life. That's a fixed mindset. I can only make it if I have all those conditions required. A growth mindset is going to think, I was not born like that, but it doesn't matter, because I'm going to find a way. How can I make it happen for me, right? That's the difference. And so people believe that if we lack of IQ, we're not advantaged in life. It comes from a fixed mindset perspective. You can shift that mindset and realize it's not true. There are lots of different types of intelligence, and if I can find out what is my type of intelligence, that's it. I can be amazingly great at it. If it's musical intelligence, be a musician, and you'll be super successful and happy and loving your life, as opposed to trying to have more logical or literature kind of intelligence. If it's not your thing, it doesn't have to be your thing. No, you talked about EQ. I get it wrong all the time. I thought you said IQ. Perseus, I'm sorry. My EQ score is pretty low. I thought you said IQ. Gosh, I had a rant of 5 minutes over the wrong conversation. Okay, at least I hope that you found this interesting. Let's talk about that. My EQ, my emotional quotient is pretty low. I don't know how to improve it. Okay, I get it. It's different. So emotional intelligence is about learning how to feel your feelings and emotions, how to understand the mechanics of your mind, the difference between thoughts, emotions, feelings, and belief. So this is a whole different conversation. How you don't improve your EQ score. I don't know what is an EQ score even. Someone came up with that. It's just about, emotional intelligence is a word that encompasses a lot of things. And so it's about understanding that we are first primarily, before anything, creatures of emotions and feelings. We are creatures of emotions and feelings that think. We're not thinking creatures that feel. And so 95% of our mind is emotional. We talk about the conscious mind and subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, which is 95% of your mind, is an emotional mind. Only 5% of your mind is cognitive, your brain, your head. And so we want to understand the language of emotions. We want to understand why we are feeling like that, how we can process those feelings, those energies that we're experiencing in our bodies. So it's a big topic. It's a big topic. I'd say it depends on where you're at and what you want to make out of it. Because it's not a thing. It's different for everyone. It depends on your needs, on your priorities, on your problems, and on your level of awareness at this point in time in your life as well. So if you want to tell me about emotional intelligence, tell me about a problem that you have, and maybe I can talk about it from the emotional intelligence perspective and how it could apply to you specifically in your life process. I can't believe I went on the rant just because I couldn't see it, because I missed one letter, I instead of E. Rain, if you can look into the donations, maybe next week I can help support your channel. I think you are doing amazing work and would bring me joy to compensate you for your time. Thank you so much, Rain. That's very kind and generous of you, and I will look at it. I will look at it. Thank you. Thank you. Reborn, a friend of mine feels always unlucky in whatever he does or starts. Is that a sign of victimism or a vicious circle of destiny? There's not vicious circle of destiny, number one, right? Whatever you believe becomes reality. If you believe in a curse, in bad juju, bad luck, then that will become your reality. And so choose not to believe in that. You don't have to believe in that. Next, when you say, is it a sign of victimism? I think what you're saying is that that person suffers from a victim's mindset because they feel that they're always unlucky. And so, yes, when we always feel unlucky, we feel that the world is always against us, and there's nothing we can do about it, we are typically owned by a victim's mindset. However, it's very important to highlight that whatever mindset we have is born from a heart set. And so people don't choose their mindset. They're born into a mindset. The mindset of their parents, the mindset of their community, the mindset of the people who they looked up to become their mindset. Right? Now, when we are in a good place here, we can learn and shift our mindset. But if we are too overwhelmed here, this is not going to happen. Because mindset is how we think. And how we think will be limited and dictated and run by how we feel. Right? So we want to address how we feel first and foremost. So what I'm trying to say is that we would never want to shame people for having victim mindset. No one chooses to have a victim mindset. Some people are always negative, always depressed, always miserable. Don't put them down. Furthermore, by telling them, you have such a victim mindset because you're adding more suffering onto their plate. They don't need that. They're already overwhelmed by it. They don't choose. No one chooses. Today I'm going to have a victim mindset. Today I'm going to feel terrible. I'm going to feel hopeless and helpless. I'm going to hate myself. No one chooses that. And so it's true that we have a victim mindset. However, it's born from an emotional load, emotional wounds that have not been healed yet. So heart set comes before. But when some people are in a good place here, they can learn how to shift their mindset. It's possible. But it's very important to highlight those elements because a lot of coach and online gurus are talking about mindset all the time, and they forget this. And now it's becoming toxic positivity. Why don't you change your mindset? Why are you such a loser? Oh, it's so easy. You should do this. No, we do what we can based on how we feel because of whatever trauma we've been through, and we never chose those traumas in the first place. Or we never chose the education, the culture, the belief system that we have borrowed from our upbringing either. We just absorb whatever happened to us as we grow up, as we navigate through this life. And we are all but the continuation of whatever happened to us up to this point. So yeah, I hope that this clarified it for you, Reborn. Ritza. Okay, about Freud, but some of the oldies were so precious. I mean, Carl Jung. Yes, Carl Jung, yes, I appreciate his work, yes. He's the one exception. Whose work I love, indeed. He fell out with Freud. There you go. So we agree on that. Yes, Ritza. Yes, now Carl Jung has come up with a lot of things that are still very, very valuable and used and correct. Perseus, Carl Jung was based, I agree. Okay, so you like him. Based, I'm not sure what it means. I assume that you appreciate Carl Jung, which I do as well. Ronan, I had a ghost experience, most likely sleep paralysis. Never slept in that room again after that. All right, okay. So again, I believe that it's your belief, your subconscious belief that are triggering all those physical manifestations. I do believe that. But we may not agree on that, and it's okay. Rain. So basically, things can have power over you if you believe that they hold that power. Yes, absolutely. If you believe that someone has the power to curse you, then you will actually manifest that curse in your life somehow, even physically in your very body. It's called placebo, or nocebo, more precisely. Placebo is how your body reacts when you believe that something good is going to happen, and nocebo is the bad things that happen in your body when you believe that something bad is going to happen. And so, for instance, placebo pills are precisely that. The doctor is going to give you some pills for your headache, for instance, and they're not headache pills, they're just sugar, because they're trying to save the money from the NHS, so they give some drugs that are less expensive, fake drugs. So half of the drugs given to people are placebos, because the doctor is going to decide, do they really suffer from that, or is it something that is more psychosomatic of nature? And so now the person thinks that that pill is a headache pill, even though it's just a sugar pill. They pop into the mouth and suddenly, no more headache, because the brain believes that the pill is going to save them, and so the body is going to make it happen for them. However, so that's the placebo, the positive effect. But if I read the little leaflet and it says side effect, and so it's going to help you with your headache. However, you may feel nauseous, or you may have, I don't know, diarrhea, or feel itchy, or whatever. Now, nocebo, negative effect. If I believe in that, I'm going to feel itchy, I'm going to have diarrhea, I'm going to feel nauseous, even though it was only a sugar pill with nothing else but that. Right? And so this is how powerful our mind is. If we believe something, we're going to manifest it into our very body. But also it's going to affect the way we perceive the world. And so it's going to create a mental bias, and that will also add to shaping our reality out of a belief. And so choose your belief wisely. All of them, not just the spiritual and religious ones, but also any belief that you have about yourself and the world, anything at all. This is the whole point of therapy and healing and personal growth. Ronan, I also believe in lost civilizations that had advanced technology. Okay, so you watch Ancient Aliens, which is fair enough. My husband is obsessed with those things. So why not? Why not? Why not? It causes no harm to think that, and so why not? I do believe potentially it's possible. Yes, indeed. Why not? Rain, do you think that people will ever truly advance with things like the younger Daia's impact always happening through the Earth's history? I feel like many times we have lost information from the past. So I don't know what is the younger Daia's impact. Okay, let me find that. Younger Daia's impact. Okay, Dryas. I've got the younger Dryas impact. I think that's what you meant. Is the hypothesis that proposes that the cosmic impact, likely a comet, triggered by the younger Dryas cool period around 12,900 years ago, contributing to the megafauna extinctions and shift in human cultures. So I don't know about this. This is something else. Let me try to read your comment again. I think that things will always happen. There will be things happening, some planets hitting, some comet changing the state of the planet, maybe some climate change, natural disasters. But it doesn't matter. I believe that we are a young species. We've been on this planet for that amount of time. We're nothing. Right? If you look at the history of us in relation to planet Earth, we are nothing. We're not that important. But what it means is that we're also at the infancy of our evolution. So whatever happens, happens. It doesn't matter. As what we can do is to do our best to impact our evolution positively as much as we can. Right? Everything else is just mental gymnastics. And so I don't necessarily feel the need personally to do this. But if you enjoy this kind of thinking, it's fair enough. But do you think I don't mind? I'm going to say I don't care. We are here to experience our life here in this moment, and everything else is an illusion based around that experience. So even the future, the past, what is going to happen in the future, all of those things are part of our experience. But the only one thing that really matters is the experience itself. So mindfulness, be present. What is your life about? What can I do to be more? What can you do to be more present? And the more present you are, the more you can see through the fabrics of reality. Because when you're present, you don't judge, you don't analyze, you don't think things. You're just observing reality as it is. And so that's the closest thing to an absolute reality, I think. When you meditate and you are void of thoughts and emotions and judgment. But everything else, I believe that there are specific conversations to be had by some people, but I don't really particularly find interest in them. Whatever will happen, I believe in quantum physics, so I believe that all possibilities will and have already happened and all coexist at the same time right here, right now. Right? And so they're just different experience. That's it. So yeah. But having said that, because you're talking about the evolution of our species, I am optimistic. Because we're at the infancy of our evolution, I do believe that we're going to experience, even in my lifetime, a lot of major shift in technology and in societal evolution, right? If you look at how we have evolved, it took us that amount of time to come up with the fire, and then that amount of time to come up with the will, and then that amount of time to reach the industrial revolution, electricity. That was not so long ago, right? And then suddenly now from the electricity we have we have agriculture first, agriculture and then electricity, and then suddenly we have internet. And now we have social media. Now we have AI. We're going to have crypto. We're going to have stuff that are stuff of sci-fi. It's happening so quick. And our psyche is evolving at that pace as well. And so society will also evolve like that. Now there's still wars, there's still conflict. But I believe that the moment we're going to start to see some aliens in the sky, suddenly we're going to be all brothers and sisters, as it should be, because now we are fighting against something else. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I believe that things can happen very quickly, despite what we feel has never changed. Right? And if it doesn't happen, it's not important either. Who are we? What are we? It's not that important. It's our ego trying to survive. I have no qualm about it. I'm doing my best to impact the world positively throughout my life, but that's pretty much all that I have concerns about. No. I don't have children, so that's easy for me to say. But if I had children, I would be the same. I would surrender to the universe, and I would allow for the universe to take over and to look after them and to help them develop the skills to survive and to make the most of their life, just as we are doing with ours. What do you think of my answer, Rain? Does it satisfy your your thoughts? Louisa at Persis, yes. Ronan, new video sounds awesome. Okay. Gosh, I must be very much behind. I'm not sure what this refers to. Angelina, thanks. Louisa, I gather you read quite a lot and you are incredibly open-minded. I wish you'd watch a movie called 9 Days. Someone talked to me about this yesterday. I did a live on TikTok yesterday, and I still have the Google that I did yesterday. And 9 Days, so I did say to that person that I will remember. So it's a 2021 fantasy sci-fi films, and I have pictures here. I didn't know about it, but you are the second person over 2 days that talked to me about 9 Days. So I will check it out when and if I have time, because I don't have much time to indulge into entertainment. I'm obsessed with my work and I love what I do. And that's why I'm not overworking. I'm just obsessed in a positive way about my work. But if and when I indulge myself with some entertainment, I will remind myself to seek and find out about this. 9 Days. I wish you'd watched a movie called 9 Days. It is precious and brings so much perspective to spirituality and human experience. Okay, I will at some point. Thank you for this. Process. Fixed mindset equals self-fulfilling prophecy. Yes, indeed. Yes. Thank you, Process. Paddy Smith. Hello, sir. Hello, Paddy. Process. We have an emotional mind, but I truly genuinely don't feel much of anything because you have not learned how to connect with it. A lot of us, we don't realize, but we are repressed by society, by culture, by education, not to feel. We're being taught everything is happening in the head. Be rational, logic, common sense. Right? And because of that, we are not only not learning how to connect with other minds, but we're even repressing them. Don't be emotional. Don't be such a wuss. Don't listen to instinct or your intuition. This is wives' tales. It's ridiculous. It's not scientific. And now we're disconnected from those other minds that we have. And so the way that I explain it, we have three minds. You have the head, the heart, and the gut. The head is your cognitive mind. It's your executive mind, and it utilizes the language of words, pictures, thoughts. The heart is your body. It utilizes the language of emotions, feelings, and sensations. And the gut is your intuition. It's just a sense that tells you whether it's right or not in this moment. And we have different minds for different purposes, and we must learn how to use all of them. But if we've been taught that those two minds are ridiculous, that, then we are trapped in our head and we create all of our problems. And a lot of us also, because of society, we feel that there are some emotions that are frowned upon by society, so we can't feel those things, we can't express ourselves. And now we are shutting our connection with our emotional mind, and that's why you don't feel anything. We're all born with it. We are. There are some few exceptions. If you have had some trauma and you are, I don't know, narcissistic or sociopath, that will affect the way you deal with certain things, certain emotions in your body. But we all have an emotional mind. It's your subconscious mind. It's the things that are not there at the superficiality of your mind that are more happening at a feeling state in your body. Right? You may not feel emotions, but you still feel other things. Whatever is happening in your body in terms of health is a result of that. Your emotions are triggered by chemical reactions that also impact the development of your cells at a physical level. And that's why mental and emotional health is health. Your physical health is directly related to the things that happen to you, to your unhealed or undealt trauma, emotions, situations from the past. If you repress, if you have some resentment or some fear and anxiety that is constantly there, it's going to affect your nervous system, it's going to affect your immune system, it's going to affect all of your systems, your endocrine systems. And so, yeah, you may not feel it here, but you feel it in other ways. Any emotion that is not processed through the heart is going to express itself in different parts of your body through physical illnesses, through a propensity to catch virus, bugs, to be more affected by stuff that won't affect other people as much, for instance. But also, as we get older, those things develop into cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, high blood pressure, heart attacks. It's all connected. Rain Cook, do you have an opinion on things that move in the sky that are unexplainable with modern physics? Yes, I do. I believe in aliens. I believe in parallel dimensions. I believe in all sorts of things. And so anything can happen. I have a wide imagination and it welcomes all possibilities. And so, yes. So I don't know if it's the truth. I don't care. I don't believe that there is a truth. I believe that there's only the truth that we experience in this moment, based on our belief, based on many, many different things. And so I think the main question is, what do you believe in? I believe in aliens. I believe in other life forms, but I also believe in other dimensions. I believe in Jesus. I believe in Buddha. I believe in angels. I believe in Bob Marley. I believe in unicorns in the sky, flying on rainbows. I believe in everything. And so, yeah. But for me, I think the conversation is more about what sort of thoughts is going to be useful to me. Like all of us, if we have a thought, if we have an interest, it's because it is somehow important to us. And so for me, I'm not concerned about what people call the reality. I'm more concerned about teaching people how they have manufactured their own reality and how they can upgrade it. That's my job. Perseus, I haven't felt much. I see other people expressing how they feel, and I know that in some situations I should be feeling a certain way, and I'm good at pretending to feel those ways. So yes, you may have been through some situations. Have you had some trauma that you know of? Or have you been neglected so much that you had to pretend to be someone that you're not? The way that we behave is always the system that we have created in childhood, that we believed was the best system for us to survive, to be seen, to be loved, to be accepted, to not be hurt. Um, and so a lot of us, we suffer from emotional repression of some sort. And we want to really learn how to reconnect with those emotions and feelings, because they are what makes your life a human experience. Without emotions and feelings, your experience is not human. It's only a concept, it's an idea. It's the feeling of it that makes it human, that adds depth and humanity to it. Christine, hello. Hello, Christine. The way you explain things just makes it so much clearer for me. Fantastic. Thank you, Christine. This is very important for me, because knowing something is a thing. But if you are not able to share it with others, it's pointless. And so I pride myself in being able to be useful, to give some advice that people can take action on, or at least understand, so that they can change the way they see themselves in this life. So thank you, Christine. I may have heard some of it before, but when you explain it, I found a whole new meaning to it. That is a gift. Thank you so much, Christine. This is very, I really mean this. This is so nice to hear. It's such a great compliment. I love this. This is exactly what I am working at, what I'm aiming at, what I want to do. I want to be able to share the most complicated things in the most simple way. If I can explain a 2-year kid about reality, about the cosmos, about the mind, then I'm happy with myself. This is my mission. Thank you so much, Christine. Tanuki, hello back. Hello, Tanuki. M, hi friends. Hello, M. Rain, thank you for your time, Didi. I must go now, but I will carry this information with me for my lifetime. That is invaluable. May the universe be kind and generous to you, my friend. Thank you so much, Rain. If you don't follow me already, do subscribe so you can see my content, and we can continue a conversation every Saturday on YouTube in the afternoon UK time. Okay, thank you, Rain. I wish you a great day or night wherever you are. Tanuki, body and mind can't be separate. Good advice. Yes. Yes, we're not. So this is what I always say. We're not a body and a mind. It's not to be separated. We are a thing that is both a body and a mind and a soul. And the only difference is the position we're looking at ourselves from. If you look at yourself from a biological perspective, you're a body. If you look at yourself from a psychological perspective, you're a mind. But you're still the same thing, right? There's no separation. If you look at yourself from a spiritual perspective, you are a soul. If you look at yourself from societal perspective, you are a citizen, and so forth and so on. If you look at yourself from an atomic perspective, you are energy. And we're all of those things. We're not just this or that. There's no separation. Tanuki, everyone is the center of the universe. Yes, we all believe that we're the center of the universe, because we don't have the perspective of others. We're still limited by the position of the child. When we're a child, we experience everything from our vantage point, and everything's about me. And it's not because they are selfish, it's because that's the only perspective they have. Like literally, the whole world is revolving around them. Until we develop our brain and we're able to look from the outside of us and see that there's a bigger picture than me. Right? But many of us, we forget. Many of us adults, we go through life and we still believe somehow, whenever we're emotional, that we're back into that me place, and that the universe indeed revolves around us. It's a belief that is actually very detrimental to our happiness and potential. Off. Yo, Unc, who's the guy in the background? It's my dad. My parents, my mom and my dad, when they got married a long time ago. Richie B. Hi, Didi. Do you think some therapists downplay trauma? If so, why do you think they seem to dismiss it? I'm beginning to feel I'm going to have to find a new therapist. Thanks for your time. Some therapists are better than others. Let's put it like that. Right? Therapy is just a job description. And just like with any job description, there are all sorts of people doing all sorts of things in different ways for all sorts of different reasons. So that's why I believe that if a therapist was going to downplay your trauma, they're not listening to you. They're not giving you credit for anything. They're not professional. They're not doing the job. If you feel that you have a trauma, this is your reality. This is your experience. And it is their job to find out why you feel like that. A trauma is no more or less than an experience that was overwhelming, that has created some systems in our mind to protect ourselves from that experience happening again. And so whatever it is, there are now, we know, 2 types of trauma. There's trauma with a big T, abuse, and there's trauma with a small t, neglect. And they're just as toxic over a long period of time, because our brain, if we are being neglected, if we don't have the love and the unconditional support that we should have from our caregivers, our brain is going to feel unsafe. And now we're going to create some systems to protect ourselves. We're going to remind ourselves that this happened. It's going to be always there. We're going to always be looking out for danger, and making sure that we're not going to be abandoned or things like that. And so if your therapist doesn't recognize your trauma, if they are questioning you, and I know there are a lot of them who do that, change therapist. There's actually, so not, I don't know to which portion, to which proportion, but different jobs attract different people. And so any job that have a position of power will attract some people who are doing it for the wrong reason, like narcissists. We found out that a lot of narcissists are attracted by jobs like lawyers, police officers, doctors, and therapists, because all of those job descriptions have some sort of power over people. And so you may have come across one of them. If they don't listen to you, if they don't want to find out why you feel that you have a trauma, then they're not being professional, they're not doing their job. For me, they're not helping you. They're hurting you more because they're dismissing you. When we have a trauma, I always say it like that, there are two ways to go on about it. We feel it twice. We're being hurt the first time with the trauma. And the second time we get hurt is when people don't believe us. We're getting hurt again because now we believe that there's something wrong about us. And so people who do that, they're actually traumatizing you furthermore. And the number one rule of any therapist or doctors is to not harm people. That's the number one rule. We should not harm anyone. If you can't do anything at all, this is the minimum requirement. But for me, people who are dismissing your pain, your trauma, they're hurting you. They're giving you a second trauma out of the first one by not believing you. So let go of them. Let go of them. I came across a lot of clients who told me about the therapist, and I heard so many horror stories. So again, not all of them. Some of them are very good. But what I'm trying to say is that there are some fields of work that have maybe more propensity to have some people who may be toxic, doing it for the wrong reasons. And in the field of therapy, I know so many of my colleagues, therapists, who haven't heard their own problems, and they're trying to help others with the same problem. And this doesn't make sense to me, because I truly, strongly believe that we can only give what we own. And so if we have not been able to heal ourselves, we won't be able to heal anyone else any further than what we've been doing to ourselves at this point in time. I hope it makes sense. Find someone, if you can, who's been through what you've been through and have found a way out. Perseus, my parents weren't around much when I was younger. Okay. That's the only trauma I can think of. So yes, so that's it. If your parents weren't around, then you suffered from neglect, and it's a trauma in itself. And so maybe one of the systems that you developed to make it into this world was to become someone who doesn't have those emotions. Maybe you tried to express yourself because there was no one to listen to you, so you decided that it was pointless and you stopped doing it. But you can always learn how to reconnect with your body. It's a skill. Caroline. Hello, Caroline. Hello, Didi. How can I think less like, oh, I'm not good at social interactions because I had trauma, childhood trauma? I understand it is because I get more very nervous about it, but it makes me feel sad. Okay, let me try to understand this. How can I think less of I'm not good at social interactions because I had trauma? So you feel bad because you're thinking about it. So you don't think less. You choose better thoughts. We can't think less of something in the very same way that we can't push away a thought. I don't want to think that thought. Because the more you're going to say, I don't want to think that, I don't want to think that, the more your brain is going to get that. You're going to reinforce that, if anything. And so what you want to do is to choose better thoughts. Right? So we're going to replace it. Your thought is, I'm not good at social interaction because I had trauma. Instead, think, I'm learning how to be better at social interaction and avoid the word trauma. Because whenever you say trauma in your mind, bang, for one moment you feel a little bit of it as well in your body. So what you want to do is to focus on that, change the dialogue, change the narrative. I am not thinking about the past. Forget about that, move on. Tell yourself, I am learning. How can I learn? How can I get better? What is the one thing that I can implement? What is the one trick that I can use, try today to elevate my skills at being social with people? And take it like a game. There's nothing to lose, there's nothing to win. It's just experimentation. It's you going through the maze of life and people and finding a way to navigate through it. Does it help, Caroline? Ritza, you are precious, Didi, the real deal. Thank you, Ritza. And your explanations are clear and comes from the right place of authenticity. Thank you so much. And generosity. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ritza. I'm glad you appreciate this. Caroline, with this thinking, it feels like I'm make myself feel worse about it. Yes, indeed, because I feel that I'm not good at it more and something is wrong. Yes, Caroline, it helps. Thank you. Fantastic. Yes. So yes, remind yourself that you can't push a force away. We can't force anything. What we can do is to allow something else, something better. We can't force anything. This is very important. I always talk about control. We can't control anything. We can allow better things, and as we keep allowing those things more and more, eventually the new habit will replace the old one over time and repetition. Can you have a bit of coffee? Caroline, I've been thinking about you, and I think I've got an answer to one of your old questions. You're asking me about projection. What does it mean? So I hope that you're still here, but I'm going to share with you my thoughts about it. What does it mean when we say we project? There are many ways to explain that, but one of the ways I think that is actually the best way to explain it now that I've been thinking about it is to understand that we have many different parts within us. And each part has a different function, a different belief system. And so maybe you have a part of you that is dealing with anger, that is trying to protect you. There's a part of you that is dealing with responsibility. There's a part of you that is dealing with shame or sadness and so forth and so on. And all those parts, they are you. And so basically, we believe that we are one mind. We believe in the concept of the mono mind. And because of that, we believe that this is me, I'm thinking different thoughts, I'm having different emotions, I'm going to choose and select which thoughts and which emotions are good or bad. But it's not true. Now we're finding out that it's easier to see ourselves like many minds, many parts. However, we have created one mind that is going to rule all of those minds. And it's like the drill sergeant, the one in control, the one who is organizing things, making sure that we are safe, that we are loved, that we are accepted, that we are seen. And so what happens is that that drill sergeant is going to repress some parts within us. The parts of us that are shameful, the parts of us that are considered weak in society, and so forth and so on. And so what I'm trying to say is that we have many parts within us. Some parts we love, the parts that make us feel good, creativity, self-love, and the parts that are not, we repress them, we're ashamed of them, we don't like them. And so projection is when we see people who are reminding us of the parts that we don't like about us, we begin to dislike them. This is what we project. Projection is us reacting to some people and not liking them because they are somehow reminding us of some of the things that we have inside of us that we don't accept for ourselves. So this is a different way to explain projection, but I thought you would find it interesting because you asked me that a long time ago and it's stuck in my mind. And yesterday I had this little aha moment happening in my mind, and I believe that maybe it's something that you may find still useful and interesting. When we project, we are essentially reacting to the world and the people in the world based on how we feel about ourselves. And so depending on the belief that we have and the parts that we have inside of us that we accept or not, we will react differently to the world and the people in the world. Does it help? Was it clear in any way? Are you still around, Caroline? Because this was for you. Let's see. I'm going to have a sip of coffee and see what happens. Gosh, I think I've been here for 2 hours already. Yes. Oh, I need to post. I nearly forgot. Bear with me. I need to post my second TikTok post of the day. I nearly forgot.
I don't criticize you.
I post 3 of them every day. And the second one is the one, human eyes. Post.
One of the weirdest, and I think...
Okay. Okay, second post. Let me double check. Human eyes. That's it. Can only see 0.0035% of all known. Okay, blah 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 blah. Oh gosh. I'm sick of my face. Jingle was contest. Okay, so where was I? Caroline, I wrote it down. I'm still here. Fantastic. Yes. Does it make sense? Is it useful in any way? When we project, we see in others things to do with us, right? And we react to them because also of things that we have inside of us. And so this is what projection is. Our reactions, our experience of the world is related to things inside of us. Now, of course, there are more aspects to it. And this is why I haven't done the video yet, because there are so many different angles to approach that conversation. But yes, it's very, very important concept to remind ourselves of. We all project. Every single person in the world projects. When people say, oh, you are projecting, it's not a slur. It's just a confirmation of a bias that is actually happening to all of us. But if we can understand that indeed it's happening to us and to them, then we can understand things and see the bigger picture. Instead of taking things personally, we can understand, they're doing this because of this and that. And now I can utilize that knowledge to come up with something productive out of that interaction, instead of just reacting as everyone would. And when we understand projection in regards to self, we can also learn how to change our reality, because we realize that what I dislike, what I'm not happy or satisfied about in this world is a reflection of myself. And so I don't need to any longer be angry at the state of the world. I can look within and do some tidying up. And as I'm doing this, I'm changing subsequently the world, as far as I'm concerned. Caroline, but if someone is happy and someone projects, why do they do that if it is something positive? Let me try to understand. Why does projecting happen when it's something positive? It's both. Everything about life is a projection. So both. So let's say. So let me try a different way. If I'm unhappy with a lot of parts within me, then I'm going to be unhappy with a lot of people. A lot of things are going to annoy me. That person is lazy. That person is not responsible. That person, because I have those things that I'm not happy about within me. But if I can find a place of love and I accept and I love all the parts and I listen to them and I give them some space and I cherish them the same as any other parts, like a family. It's the internal family system, right? All parts are members of your own family system. If I can do that now, when I look at the world, I'm going to see beauty. I'm going to see love. I'm going to see happiness. And this is what I'm doing because I've done so much work on myself. When I used to look at the world, I used to hate everyone because I hated myself. Now that I finally love myself, after more than 50 years, now I love people. Now I can see the beauty in everyone. I used to find everyone ugly because I saw myself as ugly. But now that I can see my beauty and fully love myself, I adore myself. I so love myself. It took me 50 years to get there, but I really, really do. Now it's easy for me to see the beauty in everyone. It's easy to find compassion and empathy and patience and understanding to every single person, and to even see the beauty in everyone, no matter what we're going through, no matter what they're doing. There's some exceptions. If they're being evil, then I can't see the beauty. But I can understand their story, and that gives me a different experience of them still. And so it's not just when it's happy or not happy. When we project, it means that the way we experience the world is directed to, let me rephrase it. The relationship that we have with the world reflects the relationship that we have with ourselves. I hope it makes sense. Caroline, I'm interested about projecting, so I like to learn. Okay. Did what I said at the end made sense? I just want to check something. Live on YouTube. Today is. I'm just checking that the live is going well. Yes, I can see myself with a little delay. Okay, so where are we now? Christine, but what does it mean when I see beauty in everyone but can't accept myself? If you see beauty in everyone, the type of beauty that you see in everyone is the type of beauty that you do see in yourself. You cannot see in everyone anything else but what you already see in yourself. However, there are many parts of you. So maybe there are some parts of you that you can appreciate the beauty of, and some others that you don't. Right? That's the distinction. Can you confirm what I said to be correct with you or not? If not, we can have a conversation and see how we can explore this in further depth. Pale Blue Dotty, Christine, same here. You can't really appreciate the beauty of someone unless you have that same appreciation of yourself inside of you. I think you're talking about physical beauty. I understand. It's not the same. Maybe you appreciate some superficial beauty, like models, Hollywood stars. They're so beautiful, I'm so ugly. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the beauty of someone, the beauty of someone as a human being at a deep level. Right? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about plastic beauty. I understand what you guys mean. So yes, so this is not what I mean by projecting this. When I used to suffer myself from my own mental conditions, depression and self-hatred, I used to hate myself. I used to see myself as ugly, and I was jealous of all those beautiful people for whom it was so easy to be happy and beautiful. But it's a superficial plastic model of beauty. And when you appreciate that, it's not an emotional appreciation. It's a superficial one. It's a conceptual one. It's more like, if anything, you see them being beautiful and you're hating yourself and you're feeling bad about it because you're thinking that you're ugly. And so it's just still projecting in some ways. You're projecting the idea that you can never be loved and accepted unless you look like that, precisely. That's what you're projecting. And it's a belief that is erroneous because there's someone for everyone. But we are so being conditioned by society to believe that some people are better than others if they look different, if they have a different background, if they come across differently, and just not true. But as long as we believe that, we will suffer from that. And when you're projecting, what you're projecting is not the inability to appreciate someone's plastic beauty. You're projecting the inability to love yourself unconditionally. I cannot love myself unless I look like this. I hope it makes sense. Thank you for telling me this, because it made me realize that indeed there are different ways to explain this when we talk about plastic beauty. Pale Blue Dotty, no, intelligence and accomplishment like polymath. I don't understand. So first there's a no, so it's very strong no. What do you mean by no? What did I say that gets you to react? And you talk about intelligence and accomplishment like polymath. I don't understand. But there's more. Hopefully I get more from the next comment. I feel broken inside and feel drawn to beautiful, wholesome souls. But I know that I'm not like that. So you are projecting your not enoughness. I'm not enough. I need to be like them. And that's why you feel like that. So you're projecting that. You're projecting your not enoughness. And that's why you feel like that when you see those people. Does it make sense? Does it work in that framed like that? Caroline, but why those people project on someone who is nice and did nothing to them? It's because they don't like themselves. When we project, we are not throwing something on someone's face. Projecting means it's like having a projector. You're pressing a button and you are seeing something. So it does nothing to them. It only does something to you. Projecting means how you experience your own reality in this moment. It does nothing on other people. right? Now, if you say something out of our projection, now it's going to hurt people, right? And so let's say, if I don't like people who are, if I don't like the part of me that that enjoys, I don't know, eating sweets, because I believe that people who eat sweets, they become fat and they're greedy and they're disgusting and they're rejected by society. So I'm going to repress that part. If I see someone who is overweight, I'm going to react. I'm going to project my own insecurity. If I was overweight, I'm going to project that. If I say something, then I'm going to harm that person. I can project without having to say anything about it. I can keep it inside of me. I can feel like that. I can judge them. I can be unhappy about them, not without having to say anything about it. But if I say something, it's another thing. It's not projection. Projection is how you feel about the experience in that moment. Whether you decide to take an action or to express something verbally is a whole different conversation. It happens afterward. It's not a projection. Does it make sense? Christine, no, I can see others are smart, intelligent, much to give, etc., but I'm afraid and feel I'm stupid. So yes, so what I'm saying, you're projecting your not enoughness. Not intelligent and I have nothing to offer. I feel others are talented, but I'm not talented. So this is exactly what I'm saying, right? You can see those things, but what you're projecting is the feeling of inadequacy, the feeling of shame, guilt, wrong. What's wrong with me? That's what projection is. That's what I mean. Right? You may appreciate intellectually what they are meant to represent to you, but the way you feel about it is the projection. How you feel about it. And so if you feel bad about it, it's because you believe that you need to have those things in order to be loved, and so you're going to feel terrible about yourself. Gosh, I feel like I went into a place where that is getting a lot of people to react. Hopefully we can come to some agreement at some point. Others, Christine, but I may understand it wrong. It's an interesting topic. Okay, hope. Pale Blue Dotty. Now was in retrospect to your comment of outwardly beauty. Sorry for the very harsh no. Okay, thank you, Pale Blue Dotty. Thank you. UK Drill. Bing bong. I don't know what it means. Are you a troll? Please don't be, because I'm creating a safe space here for people who want to talk about mental health, so please be kind. Caroline, is it also projecting towards people who they are jealous of? Yes. So when you are jealous of someone, it's because there's a part of you that believes that what they have, that you really want, you cannot have. So you're projecting that onto others. You're projecting that belief. I'm not sure I'm seeing this, but I'm not really understanding the full depth of your question. Is it also projecting towards people who they are jealous of? What do you mean by that? Could you rephrase this for me, please? Because it's a bit confusing for me. Pale Blue Dotty. It does make sense now. Thank you very much. A projection of inadequacy. Thank you, Didi. Yes, projection is how we feel about ourselves when we're witnessing something based on the repressed part of ourselves and our belief. Because those repressed parts have belief. Right? The belief that we have are all connected to a part of us. And so in therapy, we address the parts. Also, it's a different way to do it, but we can address the parts to address the belief that must be rectified and upgraded. Caroline, is it something wrong with me if people project on me? No, everyone projects. People are not projecting on you. You project, I project, everyone projects. It's not a slur. It's not something that is to do with being insecure or weak or anything like that. It's a state of fact. We project. I project. My whole reality is based on my projections. Your whole reality is based on your projections. Their whole reality is based on their projections. Right? This is it. It's like the allegory of the cave from Plato. We project what we know, and we only experience what we know from the inside out. Our mind is biased. It's going to create a reality based on what we believe already. It's going to seek for some confirmation bias to support our already pre-existing belief. Caroline, do people project because they are jealous? No, Again, we just project because this is how we experience reality. Jealousy is the result of some projections, but we don't project because, we just do. If you want to understand why we project because it's the only way we know how to experience this reality. Again, if you think about it, your brain lives in a dark box called the skull. It doesn't have any access to reality. And so it's going to capture some fragments of information from our senses: visual, sounds, feelings, taste, smell. And then those information, those data, is going to go through some filters that are going to translate those data and turn those data into information. Those filters are our belief. The data is only as good as the interpretation that we have of it. So now we all have a different interpretation of reality. I hope it makes sense. So the way you feel about yourself is going to create those filters that will hinder the interpretation of the data you capture from the outside. So if you're insecure about yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you see someone looking at you, you can interpret them looking at you like, "Ooh, there's something wrong about me. There's something wrong with my face. Oh, I'm going to feel bad about it." If you're very confident, you're going to think, if you're overconfident, you're going to think, they look at me because I'm so handsome, I'm so pretty, I'm so good looking, right? Whatever that you feel about yourself will change the interpretation of the data you capture from the outside. And this is a projection. Pale blue dotty. Maybe projecting could be likened to wearing tinted glasses on our past experiences. Yes, so this is it. Thank you. So our past experiences have created those filters. This is what I call belief. And those beliefs are indeed tinted glasses that are going to change the quality, the nature of our experience, of the data that we capture from the outside. Again, the post that you see me posting in front of you on TikTok is the one that I talked about, and it's precisely about this. And it goes like this: human eyes can only see 0.0035% of all known visible light and color. And so we have a very little amount of data from the outside. We make up for the rest based on our belief, based on what we believe those things should mean, and we extrapolate based on our past experience, or past trauma, or past memories, and we're going to make up all that reality. And because of that, now we're living in a reality that is forged from a strong, huge bias from things that happened. So we are essentially repeating the past. But if you can realize that we're doing this, we can change the filters ourselves. We don't need to repeat the past. We don't need to repeat the things that have been hurting us up to this point. We can change this. We can change the glasses. Right? If it's glasses that were tinted with black, and we see everything dark and gray and black, we can turn into rainbow, pink, blue, yellow, and we can have a better experience just like that. Thank you for the little heart. Pale blue dotty. Les yeux sont aveugles. Il faut chercher avec le cœur. So in French, the translation goes like this: eyes are blind. We must seek with the heart. So yes, absolutely. But here's the thing: the heart, as far as our experience is concerned, is also limited by what we experience. So it's poem. It's a poetry. It's nice. Poetry is nice. It sounds nice. But as far as psychology is concerned, yeah, it's the same. The way we feel and the way we think is down to our belief. So what we want to do is actually change our belief. And it's not necessarily something to do with the heart, just it's more something to do with us being able to zoom out from our body and observe ourselves from the outside and realize that what we used to believe, the way you used to think, the way you used to feel, we can change and upgrade. I hope it makes sense. Le Petit Prince, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Okay, all right. I can't believe that I didn't remember that it was a quote from that book. I love that book. I think it's the most loved book in France, Le Petit Prince. So yes, but it's a different thing. Le Petit Prince doesn't talk about psychology. It's more about philosophy and poetry, and it's nice. I love it, but it's slightly different. Different message, different context. Thank you for the little hearts again. Okay, I've been here for more than 2 hours. If you have any last questions for the road, please do ask and I will answer them. Other than that, I think it's time for me to slowly make my way out. So, just so to remind you, I'm both on TikTok and YouTube. I post 3 short videos every day on both platforms. The newest ones are on TikTok. The ones that I post on YouTube are 2 months behind. So there's a little delay so that people have different content when they use both platforms. And I go live on both platforms. I go live on YouTube once a week for sure, every Saturday, like today in the afternoon, UK time. And every single live that I do here, I leave it on my profile. And so if you have asked me any question and you want to get back to it, just go on my profile, click live, and you have the whole collection of live that I've been doing up to this point. I keep every single one of them, so you can always go back there. With TikTok, I go live only when I can, depending on my schedule. So very often it's at night, maybe a couple of times a week, depending on my schedule, my mood, my level of energy, the state of my mind. And also on TikTok, the lives don't last, they don't stay. And so YouTube is slightly better for that, because you can always go back to some key points, perhaps. So if you appreciate this, please subscribe, follow me, both on TikTok and YouTube. And I will do my best to continue giving live and give you some advices whenever I can, as much as I can. And I'm working on some books as well. So I'm not there yet. I've been published 10 times already, but I'm working on my own book. And so this is a huge project, but I will make sure I'll let you know when it's ready. If you have any questions, I do intend, I keep on saying this, I haven't done it yet, but I do intend on creating new long-form videos on YouTube. But again, it takes time. So hopefully sometime in April this will happen. But keep an eye on this if you enjoy long-form videos. And if you have any questions, such as Caroline with projections, I take requests so that I can have some direction to go to when it comes to creating those videos. Other than that, I'm going to say goodbyes gently, unless there's a last question. And if you have any more, do come back to my lives, ask me questions on the content. You can find all my details on my handles on every videos and live. So there's also a link to my website if you need more details about me as a therapist and coach. Okay, let me read the last comment. Christine at paleblue.it. Beautiful. Paleblue.it at Christine, just like Didi's heart. Oh, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Christine, yes, yours, thank you. Paleblue.it, yours too. Paleblue.it, goodbye, and thank you so much. Guys, I love you all. Take care. Have a fantastic day or night, wherever you are. Thank you so much for watching. And again, do make sure to come back, for more, right? Goodbye. Thank you so much. Remind yourself, remember, most importantly, to always be kind to yourself. Okay? Bye for now. Bye-bye.